And welcome to the Playbook Podcast. I have my playbook with me, and today we're going to discuss the 2024 draft results. We're going to break down all 32 teams. They're going to be on each different episode. They're each going to get one today. So we're going to go straight into the first team of this podcast. So this is the inaugural episode of the podcast. First one we're going to go through is none other than the birds in the desert, the Arizona Cardinals. So obviously we have a lot to cover as far as they are concerned. A little bit of up and downs going on for the Arizona Cardinals. Over these past couple years, the Arizona Cardinals have been the luxury hotspot for ups and downs. Things where Kyler Murray is taking them to 8-0 starts. They're going to the playoffs, doing great things over there in the desert. And then you have parts where Kyler Murray is hurt and they're not doing good. And where one year they have DeAndre Hopkins, the next year they don't have DeAndre Hopkins. So lots of stuff going on with the Arizona Cardinals, but they have the chance right now to turn it around with these draft results. I'll be doing a bunch of segments here on today's episode. I'll be going over each pick that they selected. I'll be going over a segment called 3 Things, where I go over the 3 takeaways that I find from each draft result. And then I'll give them an overall grade, my personal overall grade as well. So no need for me to go into anyone else's grades. I'm going to look at who they select. I'm going to judge it based off that. And we're going to go from there, right? So this is the podcast, or the Playbook Podcast. Okay. First off, we're going to start with their first round pick. Now, granted, they have 2 first round picks that we'll go over, but pick 4 of round 1 was their own pick. All right, so the other one that they traded for, but this is their own pick. And with the 4th overall pick, the Arizona Cardinals select Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver out of Ohio State. For those who don't know, he is the son of the great Marvin Harrison, who played with the Indianapolis Colts, Peyton Manning company, stuff like that, did great things together, record-setting greatness together. But as Marvin Harrison Jr. stated, that he is trying to rewrite the legacy that his father set. So he is the 4th overall selection for the Arizona Cardinals, who as of late, they've had a great track record, and even beyond late, they've had a good track record. We're starting, with Larry Fitzgerald, obviously one of the better wide receivers in the 2010s era. We also have Anquan Bolden that they've had in the past, really good receivers. DeAndre Hopkins, also a good receiver to wear the Arizona Cardinals uniform. So Marvin Harrison, good selection for the Arizona Cardinals. He stands at 6'3", 209, or 209 pounds, I guess, to clarify on the 209 part. And really good selection for them. They desperately needed a wide receiver for the Arizona Cardinals roster currently. They did trade away Rondell Moore to the Atlanta Falcons, I believe. So as far as pass catchers in the Arizona Cardinals roster, Marvin Harrison Jr. was a sore need for them. And that is something that they fill in real quickly with the 4th overall pick. Again, he was arguably coming in as one of the best prospects coming into the draft, right? I mean, other than the whole quarterback fiasco coming in, all the teams feeling like that they needed a quarterback, the Arizona Cardinals were prime to trade back. And they stuck to their guns. They picked who they wanted to pick. And again, Marvin Harrison Jr., really good selection for them. He should be good for them for the next 10, 11 years. I'm hoping that comes to fruition for Arizona, because Arizona needs a win. They need a win right now, and picking Marvin Harrison Jr. was the perfect one for that. So yeah, great first selection that we have going on there. And then they follow suited at the 27th overall pick in round 1. They got this pick from the Houston Texans, and with that pick, they picked Darius Robinson, a defensive lineman from Missouri. Now, this guy has good frame for a defensive line. 6'5", 285. Now, what that means is that he's tall enough and large enough to be able to move around either in the interior defensive line or in the edge or outside defensive line. So he could do both. That gives the Arizona Cardinals some flexibility as they're moving forward, trying to figure out how they're going to use their pass rush attack, how they're going to develop that. Darius Robinson's a good option for them. I know a lot of insiders are saying that he may not be the best defensive line selection in the draft. I personally don't think there's much of a problem with that. He had 7.5 sacks last year at Missouri, 27 solo, 14 assist tackles. So he was definitely active on the defensive line, and he was all year. And I feel like with Arizona, they just need somebody who can disrupt, right? They just need somebody who can give the defense some tempo and things like that. And I think Darius Robinson can do that for them as they really try to help with that defensive line. So I think overall for the first round for Arizona, they looked really well. You know, they were picking with high spirits. They're trying to rebuild key positions in their team, and they're looking really nice. Looking really nice. And on their round 2 pick, they got this pick from the Atlanta Falcons. So this is round 2 pick number 43. And with this next pick that they have, it's the 3rd selection for the Arizona Cardinals in this draft. Round 2, they pick Max Melton, who's a defensive back from Rutgers. So we're talking about this. Max Melton is a very active defensive back, right? We're talking about active players. This was kind of something that the Arizona Cardinals went for when they were trying to pick players that they wanted to represent their team, right? So Marvin Harrison, very tempo guy. He's going to go in there. He's going to get the ball. He can do pretty much anything on the wide receiving core. Darius Robinson, same way with the D-line. Max Melton is another one out of Rutgers that can do exactly that. He had 23 solo tackles, 10 assist tackles. He had a sack, and he had 3 interceptions as well, not to mention 4 pass defense. So he's, again, it goes off the words of very active, right? He does pretty much anything that you want him to do. I know some people will say he's undersized, 5'11", at 187. But I do think that that's something that the Cardinals need. I mean, they lose a lot of corners the past couple of years trying to rebuild and things like that. I know they lost Byron Murphy, Patrick Peterson obviously in the past. And they continue to lose people within the defensive side of the ball. And getting Max Melton should help that. So great pick there. They're hitting so far on these draft selections. I'm really liking where they're going from there. Now we're talking round 3. So now we're still into day 2 of the draft. We have round 3, pick number 66. They picked Trey Benson, running back from Florida State. Now, I really like Trey Benson as a player. Watching from Florida State was a very dark horse team in the college football playoff, and just college football in general. I know a lot of people were saying that they should have made the college football playoff. Obviously, Trey Benson was a key contributor to that, especially even more so when Jordan Travis went down. So that was something that Trey Benson gets a hand over his hat for. He had 156 rush, 905 yards, and he had 14 touchdowns as well. So he was always active running the football. He averaged 5.8 yards per carry with an average of almost 70 yards a game. So he was doing his thing running the football for the Florida State Seminoles. I think with Arizona, big thing, they still have James Conner, right? James Conner has been their workhorse for a few years now, and he's been high value for Arizona, as he's been one of the few contributors in the ups and downs years that the Arizona Cardinals have had. So definitely love going with Trey Benson as a complement to James Conner. We also know that James Conner can be a little bit injury prone, not all the time, but he does have those tendencies where he does get injured, right? So definitely the fact that we're able to pick someone like Trey Benson to kind of help him out so that way there isn't any holes when we're trying to replace an injured player, right? Obviously, that's the key thing now. Injuries, even though the game is trying to become safer, injuries are still as prominent as they've ever been. So being able to have that depth on your team, Trey Benson is a perfect piece for the Arizona Cardinals as they really try to bring some sort of identity to the Arizona Cardinals offense. Maybe they try to do more running packages. I mean, Kyler Murray being a more running quarterback himself as it is. Maybe they try to do some more running packages with Trey Benson, James Conner, and Kyler Murray. So that works there. And, obviously they're trying to build that flexibility going forward, which really helps out for them. So, again, like the picks so far they're doing, they're high value picks. And so far, so good for them. They get another third round pick from the Tennessee Titans. This is round 3, pick number 71. And they pick Isaiah Adams, an offensive lineman from Illinois. So, again, lots of things going on for the Arizona Cardinals. Lots of pieces that they have to kind of address. Offensive linemen's no different. Kyler Murray being on the run all the time. You definitely need to find some depth within the offensive line, maybe even starters. Isaiah Adams, perfect candidate for either one of those roles going forward for the Arizona Cardinals. It's a good value pick as they're trying to, really set the stage for them competing. I think Arizona is really trying to establish that, hey, we're picking these players to build our framework of our team so that we can compete with everyone else. And so far, that's what they're doing, and they're doing a good job with that. I know looking at their picks total, the Arizona Cardinals have a lot of picks, or they had a lot of picks in this year's draft. So they did a lot of good stuff for them this year. They had another third-round pick. I think in total they had 4 third-round picks. This is their third in round 3. They got this pick from the Indianapolis Colts, round 3, pick number 82. They ended up selecting Tip Riemann. He's a tight end, also from Illinois, so we got that there. 6'5", 271. Again, this is just more of the value, right? You lost Zach Ertz to the Commanders. Obviously, we know that Zach Ertz probably wasn't coming back anyway, but that's something that you also had to think about in the back of your head, that the Arizona Cardinals are losing pieces when they're supposed to be rebuilding, right? But it was needed to get rid of Ertz, someone like Ertz, right? Because you're trying to rebuild your roster. Zach Ertz isn't necessarily somebody that may want to be a part of a rebuild. I mean, I don't know. He joined the Commanders, so maybe he does. But obviously Arizona has other plans for that. Definitely a good selection, and a selection of need for them as they're trying to go forward with, trying to rebuild this squad that they have. So here's their final third-round pick. This pick is also from the Houston Texans. Again, Arizona, Houston, as of late, doing a lot of friendly trade deals and stuff for them. So, with this third-round pick they get from the Texans, this is pick number 90. They pick Elijah Jones, defensive back from Boston College. Now, they really had a trend for picking very active corners who are active on the stat sheet and active on the field, right? So these are corners that definitely are needs for Arizona to kind of get them on the map for something that they want when they want good play. Now Elijah Jones is a different framework than Max Melton, who they picked in the second round. Similar in weight class. Elijah Jones is 185 to Max Melton's 187. But Elijah Jones is 6'2", so he is bigger. Maybe we can get a little bit more of that one-on-one going on for Elijah Jones. He has 5 pass defense and 5 interceptions. So he's putting in a lot of work there with the one-on-one. I can only imagine there. So obviously, the Arizona Cardinals are going to try to pick all different types of corners. Again, as I said before, they are depleted at the corner area. They need someone, multiple people, to come in and make impacts early. And they picked 2 corners in this draft who they feel like can make those impacts. We'll definitely see come kickoff time to see where they decide to place them there. But I am very excited to see these 2 play, just because I feel like they're matching the identity that the Cardinals want. Based on what I'm looking at this draft, they want people who have potential and who can make impacts early. And that's what they're trying to do here. So I feel like definitely looking at that as a plus for them. They go into round 4 at pick number 104, and they go right back and pick another defensive back. They're going to pick Deadrian Taylor Demerson out of Texas Tech. Again, 5'11", 195, right? So you're looking at, similar but different frameworks in different ways, right? We're looking at kind of similar but different corners. Brings a little bit of character to their corner roster. He was also an active corner. He had 49 solo tackles, 17 assist tackles, a sack, 6 pass defense, and 4 interceptions, right? So he was definitely a very active corner as well. Something the Cardinals really looked at was activity. I've been saying it, but I mean, it's Arizona activity. We've got alliteration there with the AA. They're doing a lot of different things to kind of rewrite the identity that Arizona is used to, right? You can obviously tell that Arizona doesn't want to lose anymore. They're trying to really establish an identity, establish players who can make impacts, and that's what they're trying to do. Now, these players, when they're coming in, right? Obviously, starting a lot of young talent will take time, right? So that's something that, if you're an Arizona fan watching this, that is a disclaimer, right? You want to make sure that you understand that when you're starting a lot of this young talent early, which I have a feeling Arizona will do, Arizona will start a lot of young talent early. This is something that you'll expect. This may take a couple years going forward. Now, obviously, we've seen teams like the Houston Texans just last year come in and absolutely wipe the floor with competition with young talent. So not saying it's impossible for young talent to come in and make an impact instantly. There definitely is that spot there. But I do also want to make that disclaimer to Cardinals fans. They come back to me and are like, oh, you said they were going to be good. You said they were going to be good. Looking at what I'm looking at here, they do have that potential to be. You look at their tape in college. They're very active corners. The 3 of them are very active corners that make plays. They get turnovers. They give the offense the ball, right? That's the important thing. So I think when Arizona saw that, they saw it as an opportunity that, okay, our offense should be our strong point with Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison, James Conner, now Trey Benson, right? There's a lot of talent within that offense now that they want to utilize, but they can't utilize it unless they have a defense that can give them the ball more frequently. So that's something that they looked at when picking corners. They looked at corners that could give them the ball, could make key stops, could pass defense the ball away. Really important stuff to kind of look at when we're looking at the prospects, especially the defensive backs for Arizona. So again, liking the selections as we're going forward. We're going on to round 5, pick number 138. They picked Xavier Thomas, defensive end out of Clemson. I feel like, again, the draft every year, you're going to have teams who pick for depth, right? That's going to happen, especially on day 3. A lot of these are going to be depth picks. Now, again, defense is something that is a very big need for Arizona. So I can't guarantee that Xavier Thomas wouldn't play, that he wouldn't play immediately. But with that being said, he's a 5th-round pick. He is a raw talent, 6'2", 244. He's got promise out of Clemson. He had 15 solo, 9 assists with 2 sacks. So he's doing, pretty active things, but he still has room to grow. And I think that's the important thing for a 5th-round pick is you want players who have the talent to be a good NFL player. They just need the coaching to be a good NFL player. And I think that's just kind of the instance that we're seeing here. And I think with Xavier Thomas, definitely looking at that there. And then moving on, they got another 5th-round pick. This one, again, from the Houston Texans, who we have now mentioned 3 picks from the Houston Texans so far that the Arizona Cardinals have used. And then with this pick, is round 5, pick number 162. They picked Christian Jones, offensive line from Texas. Now, I was very high on Christian Jones coming into the draft. I was surprised that he slid as far as he did. To be honest with you, he's got good framework to him for offense. I think he mainly plays offensive tackle. He's 6'5", 305. Definitely was a steal for Arizona. This is a guy I could see starting for them for a long time. I could definitely see that as a realm of possibility for them. And again, that's just kind of what Arizona's been doing this whole draft. I keep repeating myself, but it's kind of just what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a lot of value coming into the Arizona locker room, and I'm seeing a lot of good things from this draft. So Christian Jones was a steal coming into the 5th round. I know Christian Jones slid. There may be some concerns coming in. Maybe it's injuries or things like that. I'm not sure exactly what it is. But I do think that if it all pans out for Arizona, that is a steal for the Arizona Cardinals, for sure. And then now we're moving into round 6, right? We're nearing the end of day 3. They got this pick from the Indianapolis Colts. This is round 6, pick number 191. They picked Tayshaun Palmer, wide receiver out of the University of Alabama, Birmingham. All right, so a little bit of a lower school, but do not get that twisted. Some of these players who come from UAB and colleges of that level, they come in and they make an impact really early. I mean, we see players like Tyreek Hill come in from lower schools and they make impacts right away. Roddy White is an example as well. I don't know why I think of Roddy White. Maybe it's because I'm a 2000s NFL watcher, but Roddy White was somebody who came from a lower power school and went to the NFL and did great things instantly. So wide receivers come in at every university. So the fact that they were able to find Tayshaun Palmer from UAB is important. He averaged 18 yards a catch, which I thought was interesting, considering that's a pretty good number for a wide receiver, especially for a wide receiver prospect in the 6th round. So I think that's really good things to look at there. Total stat numbers: 47 receptions, 858 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Now, I also really like his size as well. 6'2", 210 pounds. Bigger receiver. He can play physical. He can also move. He has an average of 71.5 yards per game. He moves around really well, and with the size that he has, I feel like they could develop him into having a really good catch radius, and giving those one-on-one physical opportunities. Now, again, the Arizona wide receiving core has been kind of depleted the past couple of years. So adding a talent like Palmer really adds depth to the Arizona wide receiving core. And I wouldn't be shocked if I see this guy get involved in the offense at some point, one way or another. So I definitely would look into that. And then now we're going into their last pick in round 7. They got this pick from the New York Giants. Round 7 pick number 226. They picked Jaden Davis, another corner from the University of Miami, Florida. 5'10", 182 pounds. He is definitely one of those where I feel like he plays more in the slot. I feel like he's more of a slot corner as far as what I've seen. Again, there could be other things that maybe I've not have seen. Obviously, I do my best. I do my best to scout every player, but I don't. Maybe there's something that I miss and stuff like that. But from what I have seen, I think he's more of a slot corner. He's definitely 5'10", 182, but I feel like he has the size and the ability to play slot. I think that's something, again, with corners, you need to have a full corner staff in order to be successful in the defensive back area. So I feel like with Jaden Davis, they really stacked up on corner, really trying to set the tone for their defensive back group. As they really tried to, really trying to make a run. I mean, I feel like Arizona is not there yet. I'll go over that in my 3 things segment. But I do think that they're trying to make the necessary moves to compete in the future. And I think they're making the right moves right now. All right, so now we're going to go into my 3 things segment. So 3 things, that's kind of what I've titled it. I have 3 bullet points written down right here on my notebook here that I think would be just kind of takeaways that I saw from the draft results from the Arizona Cardinals. First thing I saw was the offensive help that they received, right? Whether it was offensive line or wide receiver, they made sure that they made it happen, right? So obviously Marvin Harrison is the big splash for them. That was definitely something. I mean, you even saw, I don't know, people who saw Kyler Murray's reaction on social media. Everyone was happy that he landed with the Arizona Cardinals. And rightfully so. I feel like he's going to do great things there. Him and Kyler are going to have that connection. I mean, we saw how good Kyler was when both him and Hopkins were healthy. I mean, when they're healthy on the field, they were dominant. So I feel like that's something to look out for. If Kyler is healthy for an entire NFL season with Marvin Harrison, I feel like that's something that could be dangerous for years to come. And I also liked the Tajon Palmer pick as well in the 6th round. Just trying to build up that wide receiving core. I feel like he's got a good height to him, and he's definitely got the experience and the means to contribute early into the wide receiving core. I also really like the Trey Benson pick as well. Trey Benson out of Florida State gives them a whole lot of new elements to explore when you're running with James Conner or Benson. A lot of different ways to kind of utilize their offensive schemes there, and it gives Coach Gannon an ability to kind of see what he wants to do with the run game and what he wants to do with the pass game, do a little bit of play action stuff. Definitely really good stuff to play with for the Arizona Cardinals. That was my first thing. Second bullet point, reinforced defensive back room. So that was, I think, kind of the big story. I feel like if we're trying to look overall at the Arizona Cardinals draft, that's the big storyline, is there was a lot of defensive backs that were selected by the Arizona Cardinals. And rightfully so. I mean, they've been very, very, very depleted at the cornerback position these past couple of years. So they needed this. They really needed this. So let's see how many corners they picked. They picked 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, they picked 4 defensive backs. Obviously, the Cardinals had a lot of picks to work with. So picking 4 defensive backs, they really made it known that they're trying to build the exterior of their defense as they really tried to work to stop big things like the passing game, which if my statistics knowledge is correct, I'm pretty sure they were very low in that category. I'm pretty sure. So, definitely working to improve on that. And that goes to my third bullet point. So my third bullet point is contributors. They got a lot of people that could contribute early. And I think that's really important for Arizona, especially now, right? They may not be at the competing stage yet. I don't think they're there yet, right? Which is a scary thought for some Arizona fans, being like, well, we need to get going because, Kyler Murray's not getting any younger. And absolutely, you absolutely have a point. There is a sense of urgency for the Arizona Cardinals to get going early. However, I do feel like you have to do it right. If you're going to rebuild, you have to do it right. Not everyone's going to be the Houston Texans who get it right instantly, right? You have to make sure that you're doing everything in a correct manner by your standards, right? The Arizona Cardinals, if that means that they're good this upcoming season, Kyler Murray gets right back on track and they're winning games, and all of a sudden they're a threat in the NFC West, then that's what that means, right? But we also have to look at it in this way. These players that they selected can contribute for years down the line, that they can then look to improve in other drafts and free agency as well going forward. So this gives a lot of room to work with for the Arizona Cardinals going forward within the next couple of years. Now, I'll be very intrigued to see how they do this year, how this draft class will do this year, how these players will contribute. I think a player to look out for the Arizona Cardinals is Darius Robinson. How is he as a pass rusher, who was picked in the first round, by the way? So he's a first-round talent. Picked in the first round, how is he going to affect the trenches, the framework of the Arizona defense, right? And then later on, just the team in general, because how good the defensive line plays really affects how good the defense plays, to be quite honest. In a lot of cases, that's how it works. So if Darius Robinson is able to establish early that he can play inside, outside, he can use his framework at 6'5", 285, and he has speed as well. Can he use that to his advantage, and can he be a pivotal defensive lineman for the Arizona Cardinals? If he is that, then the Arizona Cardinals have found themselves a great gem that they can build upon on their defense and have Darius Robinson as a pivotal piece for their rebuild going forward. So I think that's someone to look at there. Now, to my overall grade. All right, overall grade of the Arizona Cardinals draft. Let me count to see. They had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 picks in total in this year's draft. And I will give them a B+. All right, I'm gonna give them a B+. Now, obviously, this could go up in years, later on years, right? A lot of this just depends on how well these pieces contribute to the team of the Arizona Cardinals. If a lot of these pieces contribute well, then this could easily go up to an A- draft grade. For now, I will put it at BB+, just because I want to see first. I want to see what the Arizona Cardinals do with these pieces, with these 12 players that they have now brought in via the draft. So, definitely looking into where the Arizona Cardinals go from there. And I know if you're an Arizona fan listening right now, you may feel like, oh man, this kind of may not be much to be excited for. I would be excited for this. I would be excited that your team is making the necessary steps to be good as a team, right? They're understanding that teams like the Kansas City Chiefs, they win because they have a team behind their stars. Obviously, we know that players like Mahomes and Kelsey are great, but they need pieces around them to be good, right? Part of the reason why the 49ers are so good is because they have pieces around them, like as a team as a whole, that makes them good. And I think the Cardinals realize that. They understand that, and they're trying to build a roster that has depth, that has tempo, and that can compete with the best that the NFL has to offer. And I feel like this draft is a good starter piece for this. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed this segment of the Arizona Cardinals draft grade. This is the 2024 draft results segments on the Playbook podcast. If you have any contributions to this podcast, please shoot me a direct message. My Instagram is my full name, Owen Crowell, all lowercase. Feel free to go check that out and just shoot me a quick direct message of things that you want to see, or at least see me cover going forward. I think the next teams I have, I'm going by alphabetical order. That's how I'm going. So I've got for my next episodes. Episode 2, Atlanta Falcons. Episode 3, Baltimore Ravens. Episode 4, Buffalo Bills. That's the next 3 that we have lined up on our next episodes. This is the Arizona Cardinals episode. If you have any contributions to Arizona, please feel free to send a message towards my way, or feel free to contact me any way you can on that area there. But would love to hear your guys' feedback on how this will go. I will try my best to accommodate everyone's comments, questions, and anything like that. But that is the Arizona Cardinals playbook. This is the Playbook Podcast. Take care, y'all.